What's going on, everyone? And welcome to this week's backtesting session, where we'll be focusing on framing low risk trade setups. So, after I think about a month or so of these sessions being mainly sort of observation type sessions, and I think there was one or two where I was executing. Um, I think we've transitioned into a stage now, as I've also moved on to month two of ICT's mentorship, where it's a big focus on execution and obviously trade management and risk management and just identifying high probability setups. So there's going to be a lot more executions. This session is solely focused on identifying those executions. I already have a bit of an execution framework that I shared on my previous weekly review. If you haven't checked that out already, be sure to do so. I won't really cover it here. But I also won't really cover it because while that's the framework I'm using now, I don't want the sort of interim plan that I've set for myself to take away from what I'm learning and to almost dilute or taint what I should be focusing on. That's just for me to be able to execute based off what I've learned while I'm still sort of accumulating more knowledge. And on that, the plan is it's a work in progress. It's not something that um, I'm gonna stick to for the next 20 trades like we normally do. I think it's an ongoing, it's a work in progress, and it's gonna I'll modify it probably week on week, at least give the week use it for a week and not adjust the plan for that trading week. And then when I get to the weekend, I obviously would have had multiple backtesting sessions over the week, and then obviously my ASR session on the weekend. And then if there's anything major that I see from any one of those sessions that I feel does need to be changed, then I'll modify that plan accordingly. And so this session, I'll be backtesting USDZAR again. We'll probably continue from a similar point as last week where we ended off. And basically the session focus will be to identify 1 hour and 4 hour order blocks. Those are the key indicator areas that ICT is currently using to frame trade setups. And basically, once price has mitigated the order block, I'll then drop down to either the 1 hour or 15 minutes. So if it's a daily order block, I'll drop down to the 1 hour time frame. If it's a 4 hour order block, I drop down to the minute 15 time frame. And the entry criteria that I'm using is once we've mitigated and I've dropped down to the lower time frame, I look for a time-based liquidity sweep. I then identify an order block that forms on that lower time frame, and I'll wait for price to almost confirm that we will head in the intended direction, either long or short. But I want to see that order block invalidated. I'll then set my entry. It should be 5 pips, but USDZAR is a bit different. So it's 500 pips on USDZAR. It's almost the equivalent of what 5 pips would be on your USD. Above or below the body of that order block, and then obviously set stops below the lows with an extra provision of about 500 pips. So my stops they typically range between 500 and 1,000 pips on USDZAR. I'm then targeting our nearest buy or sell stops I set the order block time frame. So that's either going to be our 1 hour or 15 minutes. And that obviously speaks to our session, I think it was last week, where we focused on liquidity and obviously understanding that there are orders that lie above liquidity that institutional players target to fill their orders. And so that's essentially our TP, but I'm looking for a minimum of 1:3. In terms of management, I apply the half risk method as 1:1, just to take some risk off the table. Once price reaches 1:2, I then take partial profits. And at the moment, I'm just saying 50%. Obviously, I won't be executing on MetaTrader in this session. It will just be on TradingView. So um, not much to do there, but it's to make a mental note. And then I'll hold the balance of that position to max take profit if we get there. Some additional just sort of notes or points to mention. It's not required, but I'll just be observing protraction at session opens just to see how it aligns with these entries that I'm looking for at order blocks, and then also observing where entries occur relative to the 1 hour range resistance, because in my current execution checklist, I specify that I don't take trades that are within a 1 hour low resistance range, because it's typically in that area where we have more potential to pull back. And so I wait for price to clear that and then look for entry confirmation. So this is essentially the trade template that I'll use for the session, everything that I'll kind of be looking for, and then each time frame. And then I did begin briefly a bit earlier, and then this is the trade I took. So it was a high time frame order block. So it was a 4-hour order block. We had time-based liquidity sweep. We met all the criteria. We can maybe just look at it here. So I did not tag my 4-hour, but I'll show you guys which order block it was in a minute. But we were within this larger order block here. We had time-based liquidity sweep, one bullish candle, but we didn't really extend beyond that. And then we swept liquidity again, and then we got a proper run to the upside. And we did form an order block as we swept that liquidity. And so I place my entry 500 pips, and you see it's literally tiny on USDZAR, just above that. And then we had entered, order block held. I just noted that price actually came back and we got another entry opportunity at London kill zone, because this trade was taken technically quite close to swap hours and outside of my typical kill zone entry sort of time frame times. And so I wouldn't have taken this on a normal day, and that's something I'm starting to implement now into my back testing, is that I'm not considering trades outside of those kill zone times. For if you're in South Africa, that's London kill zone from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 9 to 10:10, 10:10 to 12, yeah. And then New York kill zone from 3:30 to 6. So 3:30 to 5, 5 to 6, technically, actually. And so, yeah, there would have been an entry, same area. I would have waited for this, and then on this bullish candlestick, I would have taken the entry up there, probably with stops below that low. We ran liquidity, and then, moved to the upside. Applied the half risk method, and then this was technically also at 2R, so it should have been at break even, but I think I moved to break even shortly after that. And then, literally above our TP, which was a 1:3.2, if I'm not mistaken, we got, we achieved TP. And you can actually see how price starts to accumulate before we run those sell stop orders above these highs here. So I think this played out quite nicely, and this is all within that daily range that we had identified last week. So that's where we're going to pick up from. As always, I'm just dropping a comment now below, continuing on the theme of more back testing, less talking. But if at any point you feel like you're not understanding something or you have a question, just drop something in the comments, and I'll definitely answer that for you. So continuing now. Oh, this is a mistrade actually on your USD, um, that I'll journal a bit later. But yeah, this is the trade coming up to the 4 hour. This is the order block. This was a daily order block, but you can see large order block on the 4 hour. And we ran it a few times, but I'm obviously starting from the Q1. And so I just didn't consider anything here. There was potentially a trade here. I suspect that probably would have played out. And then as well in this region here, that might have played out, potentially not, because that looked like quite a large impulse, but potentially something there. So we continue, identify order blocks, wait for price to get there, and we take a trade from there. What I'll also be doing is noting where price mitigates an order block, but then doesn't meet the criteria. I'll still log that, and then I'll obviously just make a note on that, and how it didn't play out or did play out, just for data and just to see, maybe where there is opportunity that I'm not considering. So let's jump in. So there you guys can see I actually made a mistake on how I initially calculated the 500 pips on that first entry. But yeah, you could see here that 500 pips, the true 500 pips, was just way too much. So I've reduced that to 250 pips, and I may even take it down to 100 because 250 is still quite a bit. But yeah, this trade just isn't. It meets the ticks the boxes. Really though, we've cleared the low resistance range. We've mitigated that daily order block, but yeah, very large run of liquidity, and a 1:3 extends beyond so many um, lows. So we've got a lot of resistance to the downside, and I'd essentially need to achieve one, two, three, four take profit levels just to get that minimum 1:3. So something like that, just not really worth it. So yeah, we just carry on searching. I apologize. I'm sure that was painful to watch. Um, yeah, I just had to get these damn separators um, set up so that we can get into a good flow. But yeah, let's carry on. And for a scenario like this where I've actually seen this in hindsight, I'll just go back to where we first mitigated. Yeah, and then take it down to the time frame and see what could have been. So I've actually I was about to put on the trade, And then I realized that for taking this at swap hours, and realistically, I would never take a trade at that time. It falls outside the kill zone, like I mentioned. And so I'll hold this area and see if there's anything there during London kill zone. And then, yeah, look to take the entry then. As I was saying, we've now come to London kill zone, and we see prices hasn't moved too far away, but has a bit from where we initially were. So yeah, putting the trade on and seeing how we fare. Not a big fan of this large unnecessary stop loss. So yeah, I'm gonna just have to revise this rule. I think the 500 pips is maybe a bit excessive. So I think like my entry, I'll just add, let's say 100 to 200, depending on what's necessary. But a 10,000 per max. Well, it's actually 1,000 max for the stop loss should be more than enough, because we also want to do what's relevant and not just kind of just follow the book blindly. Ah, my defense, so this is came down, we formed that low, high, we've come down, we formed this low, high, we're starting to trend higher. I'm not sure how relevant this area is anymore. I'm going to take the trade off because I don't think it really applies anymore, and I think that ship is kind of sailed. But if we come, I'm going to keep this area on, and if we come in and run this liquidity potentially during New York session, then I'm going to look for the same entry criteria to then execute. Yeah, so we've, I guess, just broken below there. So that is no longer too relevant. But what I have just noticed is this order block resting below here, which we've just come into now. So let's drop down to the minute 15 and see if there's anything there. got the run of liquidity, strong order block that's formed. We've just invalidated the order block, but price is still in, Asian session, and I wouldn't be at the charts at this point. Yeah. So yeah, this is quite clean because we've had, I must start this process kind of all over. We had our high time frame order block, the new one, 4 hour, we mitigated. And now what we have is time-based liquidity sweep within that order block. Yeah, 4 hour close was there, so we within the 4 hour close. So we've had the time-based liquidity sweep to the downside. We formed this 15-minute order block that I'll just extend to the end of the day. And we've had, I guess, the subsequent invalidation here where we ran through that, but then, have now ran higher. So yeah, meets the criteria. We're within that London kill zone. Around the pips. Yeah, it's more than enough room. And then our TP, we actually have 2 take profit points if we look to the upside. We've got one, we've got sell stops above there, and buy stops actually. Buy stops above there, buy stops above there. We've got stop loss orders, sell stop loss orders above those points. So even if we target these highs conservatively, it's a 1:4. Yeah, so this meets the plan. Yeah. And some of you may be asking, why am I not just waiting for it to be triggered in and then I'll set my, then I'll do all this ticking because it's actually the third or maybe fourth time that I've done this, and then I don't actually put on the trade. I think I'm just trying to simulate live trading conditions as far as possible, where if I see an opportunity and I line it up and it meets the plan, I'm in execution mode. I'm already getting my checklist ready. And if it doesn't trigger me in, it doesn't trigger me in. But at least I was ready for the trade, and not, only setting this all up in hindsight. It's also going to get me accustomed to making sure step by step that something meets the plan before I put the order on, instead of just seeing something and then just kind of talking through it without mechanically going through my checklist. Yeah. So that is gone. And again, we take the list off. It's okay. I could technically just delete and duplicate, and I just have a fresh list. Yeah, so again, if I just come to the 4 hour, I'll again wait for price to get into that region. We actually do have an order block here. So at this point, I was still waiting for the first one to be executed and it was still valid. So I think even if the second one was on, I probably would have only considered the first one. But yeah, now that we do have a confirmed push higher, I think this order block here, the second 4 hour order block just becomes a lot more probable if we pull back. Don't have the criteria. We've got this sweep of time-based liquidity, but no clear order block that I'm seeing in that area. Just as a side note, price is very corrective in this area. Um, I think I only kind of know that because I did backtest this region last week. And so I know that this is a bit of a choppy phase of price, but I just want to backtest it regardless to see what would have come of it. Something I actually missed was this order block here. We actually did have a run into it. See if there was a trade setup because it looked like a very decent position. Now, my trading view is so glitchy right now. clean. I don't think there would have been a position here because if I take it from this order block here, because this is all quite large, but this is a clear one before we push lower. And then take that 1,000 pips lower. Yeah, we literally would have just missed the entry on the way down. But I mean, had we got it 770, even a 900 pip stop would have been sufficient. Targeting these lows here, they were more further down, but we had another order block here, so that was nice inducement there for that order block. I think we would have achieved. Okay, we actually wouldn't even have gotten a 1s2, 1s2. So look, we wouldn't have put that on. Arguably, no, even with a tight stop, we wouldn't have gotten a 1s3. So yeah, that would have been a no trade, but very valid entry. And perhaps after learning more, this is something I could take potentially if the setup was yeah, had a tighter stop and more leg room to run. So we're back in this order block here, and we are extremely choppy, and I'm not liking these conditions, to be honest. But what we are also doing is building a lot of resistance to the downside, which is a good motivator for price to head higher. So I think we will eventually get a break to the upside. Um, so let's just see if we keep just trying to identify opportunities, what may potentially come up. My G. Hope you're good, bro. Yeah, that's why I dropped that comment in the comments. I'm not sure if you can see it. That I'm just going, bro. I'm just back testing. I'm speaking here and there, but just charts for now, bro. But just drop another comment if you can. See my comment that just mentions that. Yeah, just more back testing, less talking. Um, hence, obviously, no sound. Aware. But yeah, I think like you were saying the one time, I should look at putting music in the background for these sessions because, hey, bro, it's hella quiet in here, bro. Hella quiet. But I'm glad you can hear. Just running through um, some executions, bro. That's the main theme of the session. Um, but aware, let's keep it going. How's your week gone, bro? I sent you a voice note before this. I'm not sure. I haven't checked my phone since. Um, but maybe you can just let me know in the comments how the week's been going for you. But yeah, just quickly on the setup. Um, so as you guys can see, we had a long period of just correction, messiness, nothing really happening here. And there were a few opportunities. I think I probably started detailing 4 or so trades that looked like they were potential setups, but just didn't meet the criteria. Um, and so I think from that point, the plan did well to kind of mitigate any sort of entries in this period that might have resulted in losses, just like in this choppy sort of phase. But we've obviously taken a half risk loss here, a half risk loss. Um, and yeah, we just continue to see. I think I saw on the 4 hour that price continued higher after this. But I think with so many mitigations and just tests of these order blocks on the 4 hour, you kind of get to a point where you want price to decide before you're willing to risk more capital. I think at this point I hadn't taken anything, so I was willing to look for okay, another run of liquidity. Let's line it up. But you ideally want one run into that key indicator area. You want to get your entry confirmation, and then you kind of want price to move after that. Because we're not trading on the 1 or 2 minutes here where you can have multiple sort of false signals. The 15 minutes are relatively high sort of time frame. But like I said, it was generally always going to be a very choppy um, sort of area and price because I had tested this last week, obviously just looking at different conditions. So I think we'll just jump onto the 4 hour now and look at um, how price moves up from here. But I think first, let's see what Marcy's saying. 2 trades so far, minus 1% in the second break even, but it missed TP by spread. On TV, I hit my TP, but on the broker, missed it by spread. That's fucking annoying, bro. And that would have taken you comfortably into 1R, because I know you target 1:2 now. So yeah, solid week though. Loss, break even. Oh, so the second was the break even. That was supposed to be a win, basically. But yeah, not a it's a solid week, bro. I know GJ's been falling, so I'm assuming it was shorts on that. Yeah, I just missed an entry on, well, missed my entry area on GJ. I'm not sure if it would have met the execution criteria, but yeah, one trade for me so far the week, 2R up, and then one mistrade now today, but my plan kind of restricted me from taking that. So just let that go. So yeah, I'm just looking for price to break higher from um, this level here. Uh, I said it was longs yesterday. I think that was actually then the same move that I was kind of looking for. I was looking for shorts maybe from the area that it reversed from, that we just never got. Um, and yeah, now we see prices come up into this daily order block. And from what we were looking at last week, um, this this was the area that we had kind of anticipated price to run, because very low resistance on the way down and a lot of resistance that had been building up on the way up. So naturally, we're looking for price to run through that, and it eventually does. Um, but let's take a look at that in a bit. Yeah, clean week, bro. I think a lot more confidence behind um, the strategy now. I just mentioned, like, briefly at the beginning of the session, that now that I'm in month 2 of the mentorship, it's kind of transitioned into more executions. And because month 1 was like a big focus on obviously the foundational concepts, building a narrative, building that bias, and now month 2 is a lot more focused on risk management, trade management, identifying sort of those optimal sort of trade setups and how to kind of get into those. So similarly to what I was saying to you in my voice note, now it's like I've got a plan now, and like I'm confident in that plan, even though it's very early days. I think to be honest, I'm just excited to be executing. Um, Confident in that, or excited rather, to have something that for the first time in a while, like, is making sense, and like I can execute off it. And like, because I think I've been backtesting so much, it's like I've got some level of comfort with it. Um, that, but it's still a work in progress at the same time, because obviously each um, lecture or lesson that I watch, there's more that I learn that either adds to and confirms, what I've got in my plan, or kind of shows me that, maybe there's a rule in my plan, or step that isn't really necessary, or I'm like overthinking something. And that's what I suspect with the trade that I missed today, because I should have taken it. But again, there was a point in my plan that it didn't meet. But I only say I should have taken it because at no point did Michael or ICT ever say, if price is doing this or in this region, then you don't take trades. I think it's just building off of where's the highest probability areas to take trades, and at the moment, I'm only focusing on those areas and not other areas where there's still opportunity, but yeah, it's considered a sort of lower sort of probability area because of how the market generally behaves when we're there. But I'll probably go through that in more detail in my weekly review. But yeah, um, boys are back executing, bro. Um, so let's see. And yeah, we'll probably wrap up the session in a bit, guys. But I just want to obviously see how price reacts to this daily order block. I know, because we back tested this last week, and I think we got, uh, well, we saw that it ran here, but we stopped somewhere here, that we do run there. But I want to see if there was an entry, if I managed to get to break even. Yeah, let's just trade it as if, I don't know, what's going to happen on the high time frames, because even though that may happen, there might be some profit that I could get from this. So let's keep it running. I'll definitely jump on when I'm done, bro. Um, yeah, just for a little bit, just to check, yeah, how the boys doing. I'll catch you on there at some point, my G. Trading view is just very glitchy today, guys. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, I'm not fathoming. So I just want to make sure on. It seems like we've gotten our criteria here because we initially ran liquidity here, but we obviously just broke straight through. We then came up and ran liquidity there. And now we've broken back down. I just want to make sure that on the daily, we didn't close above that order block. And yeah, so we didn't. So we ran this and then we came back low, which is a good sign. So we could see some movement to the downside before we actually get that move higher. And we're on the 1 hour now because the order block was identified on the daily. Before I was on the 15-minute because it was a 4 hour order block. So we've got the run of liquidity. Yes, yes. Run of liquidity. Got our order block here. Measure at the body. I know this ran down a bit. Okay. Yes, yes. Oh, so everything's a bit larger now because it's 1 hour. I was also wondering why it looked so small because we've been obviously lining up setups in the 15 minutes. So I'm gonna have a stop that's greater than 1,000 pips here, but that's fine. So if we do 1, 2, I'll just add 2,000 to. And then technically we've got orders below here. Technically below here, looking at the minor sort of stop loss orders or sell stop orders, but our main area that we probably want to target is below these lows here. And that gives us, yeah, more than a 1:3 sort of minimum. So got this on the daily. We had our, I'm starting to wonder whether it's MetaTrader or my PC. Validated, subs up aware. Essentially, 1:4. We've kind of met that criteria and we'll wait for that to trigger us in. Let's do 8,500. And we are at London kill zone now, but we've started to press lower. So let's see. If we break this low here, then I'll take the order off. But we are technically still within this range. But again, outside of that London kill zone. So I'll just let it play out until we get to that point again, and technically only execute once we get in within London kill zone. Yeah, and we've just fallen outside of New York. I just want to. Yeah. Yeah, typically I would have liked this to occur a lot quicker, but we are slowly correcting back higher. Order block hasn't been mitigated yet, so we could still see a bit of a reaction, yeah, before we start trading higher. But then again, similarly to the last trades, I wouldn't. This is over like 2 or 3 days. I wouldn't just keep an open order floating um, realistically for so long. Maybe a day or so because it is the 1 hour time frame is understandable. But yeah, for so long, I doubt it. So I'm going to take this off. And again, what I'll look for, like I did on the other trades, is I'll look for price to get in there because this is technically our 1 hour order block now. And then look for the same criteria as almost a double confirmation. And that's just violated. Um, but I guess I just want to see if this close is still within the daily order block or if we invalidate it, which I think we have. Yeah, so we traded above that. It seems like the next day we came lower, and now we've potentially got a 4 hour order block to buy from. Yeah, there are a few. Which is this one here. This is the one there, and then there's another one down here. But yeah, I think that's probably where I'll wrap it up for this session. And that's the yeah, bit tricky with that last one, and that's the slightly frustrating thing where I'm not too sure how to navigate those types of situations yet. So just from experience, I would have taken that off because I'm not going to wait with an order open for 3 days. So much can happen over 3 days, especially when I'm ideally targeting sort of session liquidity. And so I would rather take it off and risk missing the trade if it does, tap into that order block and sell off from there, instead of waiting so long because in that time the narrative could shift. It could be accumulating in the opposite direction. And then by the time it eventually does trigger me and something's changed, and all the examples that ICT or Michael uses, um, the entries occur very quickly. Whether he's pre-planned those trades or whatever to pick like the ones where they do that, I don't know, but I'm obviously just simulating kind of like a real life sort of session. So yeah, quite a long session with only one position, but I think that's partly because we were looking at um, 4-hour and daily order blocks, and we were only trading out of those areas and kind of disregarding anything else. Where typically in my plan now, I'm looking at more equilibrium, premium, and discount, and I'm also looking at fair value gaps and things. I think it's just the point at which the mentorship is in, where the focus is order blocks, and so the examples he's using at the moment are order blocks. I didn't want to jump the gun and use fair value gaps because, yeah, we may approach those differently in terms of entries, because they are, fundamentally a different type of sort of concept or area. But yeah, that's the session, guys. 2 trades so far. I'm going to continue to backtest this in the sessions over the week. As obviously I learn more, I'll probably just continue from where we left off here, and then next week I'll see where we start off from. But yeah, I guess if you want to see more, I'm on TradingView. I upload there pretty much daily. Trades I take, trades I'm looking to take, and I kind of incorporate these lessons kind of in there. So I will actually just drop a link to that after the session, just so that you guys can also follow me there. I think I have in a previous session, or it was a weekly review. But yeah, thanks for everyone who's obviously joined the session. Yeah, Marcy, also my G, shout out. And don't forget, guys, consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you know you should be doing day in and day out. I'll catch you back here next week, same time, same place.